Welcome, students, to this essential KSLU Masterclass Explainer. I'm your professor, and today we're dissecting a guaranteed 16-mark university question on Mohammedan law. Specifically, we'll be focusing on the effects of conversion to Islam on family relations. Sit up straight, have your notebooks ready, and prepare to master the exact structure demanded by university evaluators. Let's begin.
Pay close attention, students. If this question appears on your paper, these are the exact 6 headings you must write in your exam booklet to score maximum marks. We'll be covering 1. Defining a Mohammedan, 2. Conversion effects on marriage, 3. Section 494 and polygamy, 4. Inheritance and maintenance effects, 5. Children and property succession, and finally, 6. Concluding KSLU exam strategy. We'll move through these systematically.
Section 1. Defining a Mohammedan. Legal parameters. We must first establish the legal parameters of our subject by clearly defining who exactly falls under the purview of this personal law. You simply cannot discuss conversion without first establishing this baseline legal definition.
I'll read the definition exactly as you must reproduce it. Mohammedan, a person who believes in the unity of God, Allah, and accepts Prophet Muhammad as his messenger. Read it carefully. You need to write it exactly like this in your introduction, and make sure you underline the phrase unity of God for the evaluator. This immediately proves that you understand the theological prerequisite that triggers the application of Muslim personal law.
Now you must break this down further. Essentials of being a Mohammedan, profession of Islam even by simple declaration, belief in one God, Allah, and acceptance of Prophet Muhammad as prophet. Below that, types of conversion, by birth and by conversion, meaning embracing Islam voluntarily. After your definition, list these 3 essentials and 2 types of conversion in distinct, unmerged bullet points exactly as I just read them. This layout demonstrates absolute structural clarity to the examiner. Move into Section 2, Conversion Effects on Marriage, Legal Categorization. Now we get to the core provisions, starting with the most critical effect tested in KSLU exams: how conversion alters the institution of marriage. This right here is where many candidates lose marks due to a lack of precision. Let's look at this comparative breakdown. On the left column, conversion of one spouse. Under traditional law, it may dissolve if the other doesn't convert. However, under modern law, marriage does not automatically dissolve. Now look at the right column, conversion of both spouses. In this case, the marriage continues under Muslim law. I want you to draw a comparative table exactly like this in your answer script. Explicitly state that under modern law, unlike traditional law, the conversion of a single spouse does not automatically dissolve the marriage. The evaluator is actively looking for that specific distinction.
Students, pens down for a moment and note this absolutely crucial case law. Sarla Mudgal versus Union of India. Ensure you draw a separate, distinct box for this landmark case in your exam script. That is how you immediately capture the evaluator's attention for a high-scoring 16-mark answer. This case is mandatory.
The Supreme Court ruled conversion to Islam for the purpose of contracting a second marriage without dissolving the first is invalid and amounts to bigamy. Let's do a deep case law breakdown. What are the brief facts? A Hindu husband, married under the Hindu Marriage Act, converted to Islam solely to marry a second wife, attempting to circumvent the Hindu law prohibition on bigamy. The verdict? The Supreme Court ruled this entirely invalid. The absolute relevance here is that religious conversion cannot be abused to dissolve a previous valid Hindu marriage. Write this ratio decidendi exactly as it's laid out.
Section 3, Section 494, and polygamy, criminal liability. Building directly upon Sarla Mudgal, we must now address the criminal liability attached to using conversion as a tool for polygamy. We are shifting from personal law to the penal code.
Section 494. Underline Section 494 of the Indian Penal Code massively in your answer scripts, as this is the exact statute that penalizes bigamy. Connecting family law concepts to the Indian Penal Code demonstrates high-level academic competence to your KSLU examiners.
Let's read the effect on polygamy. Point 1. A Hindu converting to Islam cannot marry again without dissolving the first marriage. Point 2. Doing so is punishable under IPC Section 494, bigamy. Point 3. Conversion cannot be used as a tool to evade personal law obligations. Note how logically these flow together. You cannot use religious conversion as a legal loophole to evade existing personal law obligations. The courts will always look past the conversion to uphold the sanctity of the original legal commitment.
Section 4. Inheritance and maintenance effects. Financial obligations. Next, your exam script must transition to the financial effects of conversion. specifically regarding inheritance and maintenance. A marriage, students, is not merely a social contract, it is a financial one.
Observe these financial effects closely. Inheritance. A non-Muslim cannot inherit from a Muslim. Conversion affects rights. Maintenance. Conversion does not automatically end obligations. A husband cannot escape maintenance liability by converting to Islam. Make sure you write down in your scripts that while a non-Muslim cannot inherit from a Muslim, which means a shift in religion alters property transmission, a husband absolutely cannot escape his maintenance liabilities simply by converting to Islam. The law always protects the vulnerable party.
Here is your second mandatory case law. Ahmed Khan versus Shah Bano Begum. Box this clearly in your exam script, just like the previous one. It is the undisputed authority on maintenance under Muslim personal law, and omitting this case will severely penalize your final score.
The Supreme Court established personal law cannot override principles of justice, especially in family matters. Let's dissect this landmark judgment. Note the brief background. Shah Bano, a destitute divorced wife, sought maintenance from her former husband. The husband argued that under his personal law, his obligation ended after the Adat period. But what was the verdict? The court affirmed her right to maintenance under Section 125 of the Criminal Procedure Code. The relevance to our topic is monumental, students. It proves definitively that fundamental justice and secular statutory provisions supersede statutory personal laws when those laws are used to evade basic maintenance obligations. Ensure you explain this relevance in your answer.
Section 5. Children and Property Succession, Generational Impact. As we near the end of your answer, you must briefly outline the generational impacts of conversion. Exactly how does a parent's conversion affect the legal standing of their offspring?
Let's read the effect on children and succession. Children usually follow the religion of their parents. The legitimacy of children is not affected by conversion. Conversion may disqualify inheritance under Muslim law. And finally, the applicable personal law changes based on the new religion. List these 4 points clearly to show the examiner you understand that, while a child's legitimacy remains fully intact, the applicable property and succession laws will definitively shift based on the newly adopted religion of the convert.
Section 6. Concluding KSLU Exam Strategy, Securing Marks. Finally, let's review the exact structural blueprint you will use to conclude this essay and secure your 16 marks. Remember, knowledge is useless in an exam if it isn't presented with strict academic structure.
These 4 exact steps are your roadmap. Step 1. Write the unity of God definition. Step 2. List the distinct legal effects using precise headings. Step 3. Highlight Sarla Mudgal and Shah Bano in boxed formats. Step 4. Conclude that conversion cannot defeat legal obligations. If you execute these 4 exact steps, presenting the bare acts and ratio decidendi clearly as we've discussed today, you will write a flawless exam script. Do not summarize. Detail every single point. I leave you with one final question to ask yourselves. Will your answer script clearly demonstrate that courts consistently prevent conversion from being misused to defeat legal obligations? Ask yourself this as you revise. Have you structured your legal arguments rigidly enough to convince the KSU evaluator of your total mastery over the subject? Review this masterclass explainer as many times as necessary until you can effortlessly reproduce this structure. Good luck with your studies, candidates. Class dismissed.